So the next speaker works for an organization called Be Found Online, and he's spoken in our past event, comes with a lot of energy. But before I introduce Steve Krull, I want to tell you a little bit about his organization so you have some background, where he came from and what their company is all about. So Be Found Online is a Chicago-based digital marketing agency. Founded in 2009 as a search agency, Be Found Online has grown tremendously and now offers a full suite of digital marketing solutions including organic media, paid media, local search, and digital analytics. The Be Found Online team lives at the intersection of art and science, staying ahead of trends and going beyond a routine approach. Inspired by creativity and analysis, they work to pioneer the digital marketing landscape to drive continuing evolution and deliver exceptional services to their clients. Be Found Online has been named by Inc.'s 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies in the United States since 2009. So at this time I'd like to bring Steve Krull up. Steve partnered with Dan Golden to launch Be Found Online. Steve's responsibility include providing support for broader agency initiatives, clients, and staff. In addition to overseeing these core business functions, Steve continues to oversee strategy for organic media and content marketing. When he's not working, Steve enjoys spending time with his family, coaching baseball, following the Cubs, and cycling. As a parent of a child with autism, he also gives his time freely to a variety of autism-related causes. I'd like to welcome Steve Krull. He's become a very good friend, an excellent marketer, and you're going to learn a lot from his talk today. Steve?
I will not go into me because Jim did such a wonderful job, and please join me in thanking Jim and Steve and the entire CFU Media team for putting on a great show and having us here today. Now, let's think about this. How many of you have woken up one day to find that 20 pounds? You woke up one day and said, wow, I got 20 pounds I didn't have before. Not supposed to do it that way. Wake up with it and you go, wow, it wasn't there yesterday, but it was there. It's been there a long, long time, right? Well, how did it get there? Got there a variety of ways. I was lazy. I didn't set goals. I wasn't paying attention. I like beer. I like pizza. A couple of those things, right? I woke up one day recently and figured out I'm about 20 pounds over my playing weight, so to speak. I want to drop a little weight. And it's funny because I thought about that as I dove into this presentation because our search marketing is the same thing. We set goals or we go on a project, we do a site transition, we build a new website, and we go, yippee, let's go spend some money and make a great, beautiful website, and we'll do some SEO, and we'll write some new content, and the site launches, and what do? We forget about our goals, we forget about our strategy, and we move on to the next thing. Some of that's budget and resource dependent, I get it, I understand it, but today, let's go into a little bit of digital fitness, Steve Krull style. No music. Thank you very much, sir. All right, I'm going to keep it pretty simple and pretty straightforward today. And feel free to throw your hand up at any time if you have a question. Nothing is out of bounds. It's the way I kind of roll these things. It's all about goals. We've heard about goals a lot today. What is your analytics telling you? How many people have analytics on their websites? Yeah, we all do. How many people look at their analytics on a weekly basis to understand the business trends and the performance drivers of their website? About 20%, maybe a quarter of you? Nice. For those of you that are looking at your goals on a regular basis, do those goals change? Do you evaluate them on a quarterly basis? Do you look at your KPIs? Where's my revenue coming from? Where's it going to? What am I looking at in my goals and funnels? Do I have goals set up in my analytics program? Do I know that user A comes in on this landing page, they move to 3 other pages, and they convert where I thought they would? Do I know if they're making a left instead of a right? Are we studying that stuff? It's all available today, all in the free analytics packages and all in the paid analytics packages, so we'll go into that. We're going to go into getting started. SEO audits, our core workout. Is your website ready? What do you need to do to make sure your website's ready? If the hub of everything you want to do And going back to what Corinne was talking about, and Dane and everybody else talking about, how do we convert these people? Do our audience homework. We've got our marketing automation platform in place, and our website is not ready to collect the traffic. We want to go generate traffic, and we want to get it in heaps and heaps and bushels of traffic, right? But if our website's not ready, what are we going to do with the traffic? Do we study our conversion rates? Do we test our conversion rates? So let's talk about that stuff. Then we got to get back to the content play here. Google's made it a household word, content marketing, because they can't say link building anymore. So we talk about that. And then we're going to have some fun at the end. I've got a little bit of a quiz. It should be really easy for those of you that are worried about test taking, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Any questions before I dive in? Into goals, ideas, thoughts? Silence is good. All right. Long slide. The idea behind a slide like this and talking about analytics is dissect your information. I'm looking at traffic. I'm looking at page views. I'm looking at organic search. I look at paid search. Break that stuff down. Are you looking at device types? How many people know what their mobile traffic is this year, 2014, compared to 2013? Nice. Again, this at 10, 15, 20%. How many wish they knew? A lot more. Yeah. That information's available. Go in there and figure it out. Figure out what your acquisitions look like. Dive into your analytics. Set goals. Is your goal conversion? Is your goal a download? Do you have an offer up? Are they on landing pages? How are you driving traffic to these pages, right? I want to be able to set up these different pieces. We've got audience types on here. We've got behavior analysis. What are your users doing? Are you informing them, educating them, or are you at the point where you're trying to convert them? Each one of those stages means something different to each of your personas. Everybody that you've identified with Dan earlier in their buying cycles and your personas, they're all at different stages of the game. So where are they, and what do you have tracking what they're doing? Marketing automation can help with some of it. Your analytics can help with the rest because it's talking to your website. It looks at your website every day. So think about it. How many of us get and create super crazy useless dashboards, reports? I have more Excel spreadsheets and reports than I know what to do with. What I want simple reports. I want actionable data. I don't want pivot tables going left and right and all over the place. I want simplified data. I want simplified metrics. What are my key goals? Is your key goal a conversion? What is a conversion? How many conversion types do you have? Is my conversion getting the 5 data points that Pat put on his presentation earlier, right? What are the 5 main data points people are willing to give us? Do I want those? And are people converting at that? How is Form A doing as it compares to Form B? Testing this stuff. Testing is built into a lot of platforms right now. Google Analytics has a built-in testing platform. If you haven't used it, try it. Great simple platforms built into some of your content platforms. Optimize is a great platform for doing simple A/B and multivariate tests. The goal is to create useful and meaningful reports. Now, I'm not going to come up and talk to you guys. Everybody's business is different about what your metrics are and what your KPIs are. You have to define that for yourself. You have to build a goal and understand the stepwise approach to what the user came to your site for and what do you want them to conclude with. So if you're driving traffic via organic search and you've got your keyword set and they're coming in on a product landing page or a category landing page, great. What is the next action that you want that user to take when they hit that page? What do you want them to do? Do you have 4 buttons up there? Do you have 1 button up there? Working with a client who launched a new site just last month, their conversion rate has, in his words, tanked since they launched. And the page hasn't changed that significantly, with the exception that the contact a representative box got moved below the fold. Anyway, that's pretty significant, isn't it? Wait, I can't contact everybody? And the other thing that they did, they doubled it up. They made the button the same color as a majority of the objects on the page. So the button was red, objects and callouts were red, and they cater to an older audience. So their audience is now confused. Their audience has to hunt for the conversion. Seth Godin has always said, where's the banana? Make it obvious for me. Make the next step obvious. Don't clutter my page. Don't do those things. So those are the metrics you want to build onto your pages and into your reports. What am I looking for? What's important? Hey, at the lowest level, I'm an SEO geek. I want traffic. I don't want to understand keyword rankings. Next level up, though, you got to report in and you've got to talk about money, revenue, leads, value per lead, cost per lead. Those things. What's at that level? And at the top level, we talk about market share. How are we doing against our competitors? I don't want to create one dashboard for all three of those things because each of those things is read by a different level in the organization, right? I got to go talk to the web guys and say, hey man, traffic is down. We have to make some changes. Here's the report that says so. I've got to go talk to my marketing manager and say, hey, you know what? That money we invested in that email marketing campaign and in content marketing, it's paying off, and here's how. Here's how our lead volumes have changed. He wants to take it up then to the executive and say, hey, our market share has improved because here are the investments we've made. Here's what the competitive set looks like, and here's our share of voice against our competitive set. So there's cool things that you can do, but it's understanding which language we're at each level. Making simple, easy to use reports at each level, leveraging your analytics, the data that's available to you. Analytics is your Fitbit. It's not going to do the work for you though. Set up your goals, set up your KPIs, let them do the work for you. Let your website do the heavy lifting, but get your goals in place first. So I can't come up here and tell you what your metrics should be, what your KPIs should be. I want each of you to go home and think about what those KPIs should be. What am I trying to drive? And your KPIs can be different for different sections of your website. We work with plenty of clients that have 4 or 5 different lines of business. We work with somebody, there's rentals, there's sales, there's long-term leasing, there's corporate. They get into all sorts of different lines of business, different goals set up for each section of the website, understanding what it is. Of course, we always go where the food is, right? What drives the most revenue for the business? So we go set those up first because we want to know what's working there. But set that stuff up. Use it as your Fitbit. When you have your goals in place, when you've understood your data, and if you need to better understand your data, if you're using Google Analytics or using Core Metrics or any of the platforms, YouTube has a ton of video on this stuff if you can get to it through your corporate firewalls. Otherwise, do it at home. But go look at this stuff. Read it, learn it. Some of the basic stuff is right there. Odds are you have somebody in your organization that can help you dive through the data, understand the data, make sense of it. Because that's it. There's the prize. Set the prize at the start of this. If you haven't done your SEO homework in a while, go back and set the goals. Oh, my website's doing fine. Year over year, it's up 6%. Whatever that is, it's fine, but what are you striving for? What are we working on? What should I focus on? Where are the priorities? So if my business priorities that come from the executive say, I need a cost per lead of X, and I need X number of leads per month, Steve, how are you going to generate that for me? I have to back up from those numbers and figure out, we have a client this year who wants to get a $60 cost per lead. And we do ROI on SEO. So we figure out how much he's paying us, how much we're investing in his website, how valuable the changes are per number of leads. So we back into this data set and we look at, okay, our cost per lead's at $110 on SEO. He wants it to get to 60 and he wants to double his lead volume by the end of the year. Pretty aggressive. Doable? Yeah, but very, very aggressive. It's one of those things where we look at it and we start planning backwards. Where do we have to be in 3 months? Where do we have to be in 6 months? Where do we have to be in 9 months? Then, when we have those goals in place, we start thinking about his website. I need to understand the health and well-being of this web property. How many people have active SEO projects on their websites? Nice. Good job. How many of you started that process with an audit and have a structured approach to going about your SEO? Show of hands. A few people, a handful of people. Okay. The idea is understanding what there is. You can build a model for what to fix and how. You've got to take the business goals and the business drivers and you evaluate this stuff, right? I'm going to go look at my website. I'm going to do a technical evaluation of the website. I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to find out how many pages Google has indexed for my website, how many pages I think they should have on my website. If those two numbers don't match, Houston, we have a problem. And this happens more often than you think. We have a client who has what happens if Google finds 2.5 million pages of your website when you only have 75,000? They get dizzy. It's a search engine at the end of the day. They have crawler to do, and then they don't rank it very well, which is unfortunate. We've seen those situations a lot. Or in cases now more and more, Google's taking people out of the index and sending warnings that nobody sees because they're not logged into the accounts that they can be to do this stuff. So we check that stuff. We look at site performance. More and more, Google has site performance criteria. They're looking at how fat your images are, how much JavaScript you're loading, how long the page takes to load. Content and keywords. What are you targeting? What have you been targeting? If you're using an SEO platform to manage some of this stuff, there's Conductor out there, there's LinkDex, there's BrightEdge. All three platforms can do the job for you. There's some cheap ones and some free ones too, if you don't have budget for it. But what are we after? What's our keyword footprint look like? And that same footprint, what should it be? What's our competitive set doing? If I'm out here and I'm looking at different companies, so I'm Ryder Trucks and I'm comparing to Penske Trucks, we're both in the B2B space, what's Penske doing that I'm not doing? We have a lot of overlap in our business. What does our keyword footprint look like? What does our share of voice look like? When I get into search, and I get into search engine results, to me, it's not about whether I'm Hertz or Penske or Ryder. It's about keyword 1, keyword 2, and keyword 3. And what's my competitive position for it? I want to know how many keywords each of my competitors is ranking for, absolutely. But I also want to know which ones I'm ranking for, which ones are in striking distance from the top spots. So if it's low on page 1, those are easy pickings for me. If it's right at the top of page 2, more easy pickings for me. I weigh that against how popular the keywords are. Google has tools that will tell you how often these things are searched. You can go out and grab the Google tools. You can send me an email, I'll send it to you. Actually, on the dongles, there's a white paper we just released, and you guys don't have to pass up. Give me all of your information to get it. It's on there. It's a white paper that gives you a lot of the tools and a lot of the tricks that I'm up here yapping about today. And Google will give you some great information about how often people search for your popular terms on a monthly basis and how often they search for like terms on a monthly basis. It's free data. Google wants you to spend money on paid search. That's why they give you the other data for free. It's kind of their give and take. Technical side of your website. What else is going on? You have a robots.txt file. Do you know what a robots.txt is? Are you supposed to? Is your XML sitemap current? Is your XML sitemap optimized? I know I may be up here for a lot of you folks, but if you're managing a website, put these things on your checklists. Think about what's going on. If you don't have a Google Webmaster Tools account, get one or find out who has it, because Google's sending you messages. They're giving you information about your website that you need to be able to complete a good audit and understand what your SEO strategy should be. Because if I want to improve my conversion rate through marketing automation, great. I want more traffic to convert at a higher rate. If I can improve my conversion rate by 15%, that's great. How is that when I add 40% more traffic because I went and did my homework in SEO? That's a pretty nice equation, right? There's a lot more opportunity for us in that pipeline. So when we look at the competition and stealing market share from the competition, as we look at it online, market competition is all about keywords. Whether it's organic search or paid search, it's all about keywords. When we talk about paid search, it's how much money do I want to spend for a keyword and how well does it convert for me? Same rules apply. If I'm not testing it, I might as well be tossing my money away. If it's converted well historically, that's great, but can I eke out more conversions and make it a more cost-effective buy? So these are the things we line up. And if anybody wants a template for a site audit, feel free to ping me. I'll send a copy. Probably should have put it on the dongle. It's just a great little walkthrough to do top 10, top 20 things that you should think about when evaluating your website. You should do it if you're doing a website launch or a transition. Do an audit before the transition, just to understand where you're at. So you understand the block and tackle and technical SEO that needs to change during your transition. Do your transition. Do a baseline before the transition if you're reporting. Do a test after your transition, find out where you're at. And then you can use the audit again after you've launched to walk through your site and say, did we forget? Yeah, number 4. It happens. It's the way it works. Let's talk a little bit about, beyond audits, SEO challenges, or fitness challenges for SEO for 2015. Google keeps changing the game. They like us to follow their rules. It's their sandbox. If we don't like it, we can go home, right? I think Yahoo has a search engine still, don't they? So everybody gets worried about pandas, pigeons, and penguins. And for those of you that don't know what these are the cute little animals that Google algorithm updates have been named after for the past 4 or 5 years. Each one of them is like, it's almost like a tuna net, right? Dolphin get caught in the tuna nets all the time. Google does this. So they do their changes to get bad guys deranked or delisted, but they always catch dolphin. They're always catching the good fish. Every release that you see always has collateral damage. So to know that you're in Google's good graces is to, once in a while, double check the webmaster guidelines. go look at the stuff, and then you don't have to chase the updates from Google if you're running a good shop and running a clean site. However, I will tell you from experience, some of the e-commerce platforms, and a lot of them have gotten over this hump, but historically, e-commerce platforms could put you in harm's way. The client that had 2.5 million pages indexed when they needed 75,000 indexed, that was an e-commerce platform. I won't call it an issue, it was designed that way, but Google changed the rules and e-commerce platform got stuck right square in the crosshairs. So not only did we work with the client on correcting the indexation issue in Google, we worked with the platform provider to say, hey, can we talk to you guys about an update you should probably make to the platform? And they gave the clients the flexibility to do some things in the platform. Worked out great. They saved a lot of clients from having penalties from Google and other things. What else do we have to worry about? Indexation is sort of the back end of that. If you do site : in Google and put your website in after that, it will tell you how many pages it has in the index. You can go to Bing and you can do the same thing and it will tell you. If those two numbers are crazy different, Houston, we have a problem. Your own website, how many pages do you think you should have? How many products do you have? How many categories? How many subcategories? Look at that stuff. If you've got a website that has 2,500 pages and Google says 50,000, Google's missing the message that you're trying to send. And some of that other technical stuff that we just talked about is getting in the way of Google getting a clear picture of the site. The clearer the picture that we make for Google, the better off we're going to be in the search ranking. So it used to be, back in the early days of search, we'd go look at our competitors and we'd want to build our sites just like theirs. What did we do? We made the same mistakes they made. Hey, we're playing follow the leader. It's now at the point where you can peel back the competitor's website, understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong from an architecture and technical perspective. You can look at it and say, oh, they're doing it. No, that's not right. We can make this better when we launch our site. And you can work within the constraints of your own content platform or e-commerce platform to make those things work for you. Content, that's the next slide, so I'm going to leave it off. Page load times we talked about a little while ago. Check them. Google has a page load tool. I shouldn't say this about a client, but I will. We went to a client about a month ago, and we told him that he had page load time issues. And he vehemently denied it. I went through 3 months of working with our provider, and we fixed all of it. It's fixed. We have a report that I get every day. I'll send you the report. It's working fine. I said, I beg to differ. This is what Google thinks. And Google gave him a 43 out of 100 for his page load scores. And his competitors average 65 to 70. So if he wants to know where his performance is going, let's go in next door to the guy that can actually, whose site performs and loads quickly. So they're moving. Google is using that as a ranking factor. Mobile friendly. Corinne and I had a brief conversation about this. Everybody have mobile friendly websites? Some. How many people are working on mobile friendly websites? All right, how many are going to be done by April 21st? Does anybody know what April 21st is? You do, nice. April 21st is Google's unofficial, official, always sort of muted announcement. They are changing the way mobile search rankings are handled. Their algorithm for mobile is going through a major update on April 21st. It's the first time in our wonderful history with Google that they have told us when an update is going to happen. A couple of years ago, they started talking about mobile sites and they didn't like mobile splash pages and redirects. And they said, go get mobile friendly. Now they've told us April 21st, they are going to make a major change to the way mobile sites are ranked. If today, you've got a site that isn't the mobile friendliest, and Google has tools for these things as well. Just search Google mobile friendly tool, and you'll get the Google mobile friendly tool. Yes, ma'am?
Question that regards to mobile friendly and page load time.
Yep.
Any kind of advice you can give us in regards to page load time and websites that are full of imagery? I noticed that once you have a lot of pictures, they're heavy. Google is starting to come after you and bring your rankings down. So is there any advice you can give to people that are trying to work around page load time and mobile friendly with websites that are full of imagery?
Absolutely. So to repeat the question, are there any tips you can give me for optimizing page load time, for mobile images, etc. First things first, if you can, and it's tough because a lot of you guys work in large enterprise organizations, and you can't control the images that are uploaded and things like that to the sites all the time if people are posting new content. Education helps, informing people to optimize their images for web. We get into these, they create these wonderful images and these great graphics, and they're huge. They're 2 meg, and Google has to see that. Content delivery networks, such as caching networks, they help, but a 2 meg file is still a 2 meg file, and the client still has to download that thing. So you need to compress images if you can, or optimize images is one. That's usually sort of your step one. Number 2 is there's a protocol called gzip that you can enable on the server side. All browsers natively accept gzip files. So it automatically compresses your images and other content until it gets to the client side. So it reduces the bandwidth necessary to download all that stuff. It does a wonderful job of things. So a lot of times you can enable that for images and things like that. There was one more that slipped my mind, and I will think of it and let you know. Now it's bugging me. So back to the mobile-friendly thing. Google hasn't told us what the rules are going to be. I imagine the rules are going to be if you've got a responsive design mobile website, which is the new vernacular, or a responsive plus adaptive mobile website, Google's going to give you a hall pass. They want performance on mobile devices. I can't tell you how many times I make the mistake of looking up a website on my phone. And I just curse when I get the long page, it's not optimized, and it takes forever to load. This is what Google is trying to do. They're not trying to shaft anybody. They're trying to make the search results more user-friendly so that you actually click on those sites. My hunch is that they're seeing a downward trend in mobile searches because so many people still have bad web experiences on mobile. It's just the way it works. Google wants friendly web experience, friendly mobile experience. So adaptive, responsive. If anybody's going way out there to new technology and using something like AngularJS, stop and do your homework. I don't think this is supported very well. Google has an pending issue on their hands there. But that's only for people who are way out in the land of HTML5, AngularJS, and some other things. So those are the things you have to think about. Take a look at your mobile friendliness. And I didn't have a chance to grab some of this stuff and put it in here. But check out Google's mobile-friendly tools. They've got a couple of them. They can give you mobile-friendly performance as well. And as much as I say, I don't want to live by Google, but they make the rules, so we got to play that way. Fitness tips for your SEO foundation. Just going back, but they might have a harder time finding it. That's why we're going to page 3 to find the result we want, because we know the company we're looking for, but their search result for that product didn't come up. Some of these things, with some content optimization and best practices, that content of mine that's stuck on page 3 is going to make its way up to page 1, and my users will no longer have to go to page 3 to find my new post. Keep an eye on Google. You don't have to study search engine land and other industry trade rags, but pay attention to what people are doing. Get a search digest, get it weekly, get it monthly, think about it, understand it. Content and more content. Really, in the land of SEO, it's keep going, it's never over. You don't have to have a full-blown 10K, 20K, 30K a month project in SEO, but you do have to keep the lights on. If you stop your SEO and you let it drift for 3 or 6 months, it's going to drift. It's going to happen. If you're not focusing on optimizing some things, your site's going to drift. It's the way it works. The internet is moving forward. If your site's not moving forward, Google's going to start forgetting about it. Now we're going to bump you up. I should have had a sound clip for this one. This is when we get back to the theme, you've heard it a million times, content, content, content. Content isn't just blog posts, as Pat so nicely pointed out, because I was going to say the same thing today. And I saw blog posts are at the bottom of his list. I read blogs, but it's more for personal stuff, sometimes professional stuff, but very rarely am I looking for product information or specs, temperature guidelines on a blog post. It's not there. It's how-to tips once in a while. It's I did this with it, and Lifehacker is blog posting, right? They make a living posting blogs, but Lifehacker is not, well, they do some cool engineering-like stuff, but they're not an engineering website. They're not putting product specs up. They don't need the data that we need on a daily basis, right? So let's talk about a content marketing prescription. Content marketing is a combination of things. We talk about platforms for content, right? We all know what content stream is, and if we don't, I think Jim's kicking us out. We know what that is, we know what that brings to the table. What are we doing for our own content? And we think of content creation. Now there's also content creation, there's content marketing. And content takes on many, many forms today. Search engines understand it, users understand it, and I want to think about my users too, right? I can write content all day long, I can write articles and articles and articles, but if I've got a visual learner on my hands, I want a video, I want an image, I want an infographic, right? So that goes back to your audiences. Who are they and where are they at? Search engines do a better job of indexing this content, but it starts with understanding your audience, again, back to some of the research we did earlier, but building out your content calendar. The way I look at it is SEO equals content equals social media, right? Content sits in the middle of this thing, and it is kind of part of the machine that keeps everything going these days. Fresh content on a website equals fresh traffic to a website. I can take that, I can republish that content using social media. I'm not telling everybody to go to Facebook and make a bunch of friends. I'm saying in your marketplace, in your industry, go out and find out where people are reading stuff. Post the content there on social media. You don't have to go to Twitter and get 10,000 followers tomorrow. It's not the way it works in the B2B space. Some people work it out that way in the B2B space. It works great for them. Most people, yeah, what am I going to do with that Twitter thing? It's more for personal stuff. It works in some cases, not so much in others. But tie your calendar together. How many people have a content calendar? Okay. How many people have a social media calendar? Are they the same or different? Same? All right. That's good news because your content and social media calendar should be the same because people have to know what's going on. I can't tell you the number of times we walk into a situation where there's a content calendar and there's a social media calendar and those two departments have never spoken. How am I going to create lift for the content I'm creating? If I write a great white paper and I throw it on the website, I don't use it as lead food, you know, I haven't put it at the bottom of a form for Perrin for you to download it. I get my 5 favorite fields for Pat, right? Yay, now I get content, I get good stuff. I haven't put it there, thrown it up on the website, but nobody knows about it. My social media should be blogging about it, or tweeting about it, putting it up on Facebook or LinkedIn and some of the groups you guys belong to. That's where it belongs. So tie the calendars together. Build a calendar around your audience themes. Develop authors. Anonymous and John Doe on our content doesn't work anymore. You guys are subject matter experts. Leverage it. Leverage your industry subject matter expertise. Leverage the people that you work with and work around. Make them authors. Even if you can't get them to write, you can get them to author. You can write for them, give them the right of first refusal on stuff, get them writing, get them thinking about stuff. You're developing this stuff. You as the marketer are responsible for producing the content. I'm not going to look to the mechanical engineering group to produce a ton of my content. Now product specs is different, right? That's coming from a different group and I can leverage that stuff. 5 minutes. And we can talk through that stuff, right? But I have to create this content. I need to find a way to do it. Either I'm gonna create it internally, I'm gonna license it, I'm gonna build it, I'm gonna use third parties, I'm gonna do what I can to create the content that's on my calendar. When I talk about content themes, it's the idea of what's our content campaign for the next 90 days? What do I want this to be about? When I say SEO is content, is social media, well, my SEO strategy and my content strategy should be aligned, and my content and my social media strategy should be aligned. Because if I've got a focus area in SEO, where I'm gonna tackle the commercial leasing section of my website in the next quarter, well, it seems logical that I should be writing content for that same category in that same quarter, or have it ready when I start that work. So align your calendars, make sense of this stuff, build these things out. I put in here, this is like an ode to Pat, big muscle takes more than blog posts. It's all these other things. It's demos, it's case studies, it's white papers, it's your thought leadership. And again, you don't have to have all the thought leadership. You can license thought leadership. Just give credit to who you're licensing it from or borrowing it from. It's great stuff because you don't want a user to leave your website. I want them to stick around and engage with me and my content as long as I possibly can. If I can't get them to stick around, they're going to the website that I probably could have gotten some of that content from anyway. I don't want that to happen because now I've lost the sale. I've lost the opportunity. So think about that. And then tracking this stuff. All of your content can be tracked. If you put it on a third-party website, there are tags you can put at the end of URLs to track that stuff back to your own. Lots of great stuff you can do. You can check your content performance on your website. So if you have a content marketing campaign and you don't know how it's working, your goals are probably flawed, or you just haven't studied your analytics. You may have set it up right to begin with, and you just haven't looked at it or paid attention to it much. I urge you to go back and look at it. You can track the success and the ROI of your content marketing efforts. Ooh, the cool down period. This is where we get busy. If I can ask for my lovely assistant, MC, to come up. Uh-oh. Oh, look at that, there's Kristen. All right, any questions before I get into the cool down of the quiz? Anybody? 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 I don't like crickets. Over here. Ah, good. Save me.
Can you talk for 2 seconds about what it means to capture citations and how important is that in SEO?
Oh, thank you. She asked the question, how important is it to capture citations and how important is that in SEO? The citation is the new link, effectively. So link building is a practice that Google hates. We used it in the land of SEO. It was okay to pay for links. So if I knew Larry and I wanted to give him $500 for a great link from his blog, I'd give him $500. He'd link back to me. I'd get traffic. Google hated it. There used to be blog networks where we used to be able to buy content and buy links on these blog networks. Google went and shut them all down. I don't know how people didn't think Google could become members of their blog networks. But Google found them all and shut them all down. Citations are very important. So the interesting thing in the way semantic search has changed things is I don't need a direct keyword link in the content. So if somebody's got a really popular blog and they're writing a post about a topic that I might have sent them, said, hey, you know what, I've got some really interesting content on my site. It's a case study. I'd love to give it to you if you want to write about it. It used to be we wanted to tell somebody that the keyword was control engineering. And we wanted that in the link. Put control engineering in the link. And we in the SEO space went out and stuffed 10,000 links with the keyword control engineering and sent them all back to one page. Google caught up to this and changed it. But it's also the evolution of the search engine and evolution of the user, right? The user wants natural content. So Google now reads around the links to understand what a paragraph is about. And if you have a link back to my control engineering page, that's great. It doesn't have to be the exact keyword that I want. So you want all the citations you can get. There's also local reviews are citations. For people that have multiple locations or multi-local businesses, citations are exceedingly important to have all of your location information correct in Google and to get people to review you or post links back to your location pages is very, very important in the local search landscape as well. So citations go a long way. People that love your product or love your service, those go a long way as well. They all link back to your site. Anybody else before we go to prize number one? Question number one. Mr. Lynch.
Can you talk about Google's announcement? Can you talk about Google's announcement to integrate tweets into search results? Because we've talked about it, I just figured the rest of people might be interested.
Google finally wrote a check big enough for Twitter to say yes. I think realistically, Google wants to keep the user, right? We all have streaming. I have Tweetcaster on my phone. I've got a bunch of other things that I use to follow the streams. We all use stream waterfalls. We follow hashtags. We do everything else. Google's been outside of that party looking in for the longest time. They're outside of the Facebook party too. Facebook and Bing have a happy relationship where Facebook results are in Bing. And it's all about what the offer and what the opportunity is. So Google is going to do well by turning on that fire hose to have live tweets in the search results. It's going to end up in the universal search results where we see maps or where we see local results and things like that. They're going to start bringing that stuff in because that's news and information to people like us. So if there's a trending topic that I happen to search on, a baseball topic of some sort, right? I might follow a tweet stream if I see it come up in the Google search results, or I might actually go out and post on the subject. All right, let's get any more questions before I go into the. All right. First person with an answer. Do you remember who these people are? Who's got an answer for me? You in the corner.
B.
Tony Little and Suzanne Summers. Yay! Give that guy a Fitbit and let him get started on his healthy digital marketing campaign. You are correct, sir. Next question. Oh yeah, don't know they were before my time. Anybody fit in that camp? Who doesn't know these people? Yeah, see? Who the heck is that? All right, who owned a Thigh Master? Anybody? Anybody? You don't have to admit it, really. It's probably, really? That's kind of a personal question. What should you include in a site audit? Indexation, keywords, competitors, page loads. Who did you hear first?
I think it was you.
Let's see if she's right. Ah, she is right. Look at that. I told you the answers couldn't be too hard. All right, and the final question for the final digital prize is, when are you done with SEO? When are you done with digital marketing? I saw the hand go up first. Never. Yay! And our last prize goes out there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, MC, for being so gracious.